Why should we trust you?
You shouldn't.
Scam, I mean, Sam Altman isn't who you think he is. He may seem like a harmless tech bro in a knitted sweater, just here to usher in humanity's golden age. But is that actually the case? I've spent some time looking into the 6 most outrageous claims that Altman's made over the last few years.
Is how can the company with 13 billion in revenues make 1.4 trillion of spend commitments? And you've heard the criticism,
First
Sam.
of all, we're doing well more revenue than that. Second of all, Brad, if you want to sell your shares, I'll find you a buyer. I just enough. So I think we could sell, your shares or anybody else's to some of the people who are making the most noise on Twitter, whatever, about this very quickly.
And when you cut past the stage lights and his soft-spoken delivery, you find something unsettling. You see, most of these promises aren't just ambitious, they're outright fairy tales. Which brings me to an important question. Does Sam actually believe his own hype, or is he knowingly selling you a lie? That's what I want to look into today. I'm going to break down his 6 most extreme claims made by Sam over the last few years. I want to look into how plausible they are, and then I want to reveal the goal behind them. Now, spoiler alert, I actually don't think he believes they're true. Now, we're going to be talking everything from fixing the climate to discovering all of physics to even AGI. In fact, the evidence would suggest a much more calculated agenda on Sam's part. By the time I'm done breaking this down, you might find yourself reconsidering every single cent you've ever invested into OpenAI. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Fat Cat Report. I'm Chester Chonkington, and today I'm getting straight into the story so as to not waste any more of your time. If you appreciate that, go ahead and hit subscribe for me. Okay. Back in September 2025, Sam Altman made a claim that sounded too good to be true. This is just one of his many fantastic claims. However, this is something that we're all going to have a massive stake in. He said that if ChatGPT could reach 10 gigawatts of raw compute power, they would cure cancer. Now, that's something I certainly wish was true. But from what I can tell, it's a complete and total fantasy. Cancer is not just one disease. There are over 200 different types of cancer. There's no one cure-fits-all solution, and different cancers have different causes. They have different treatments, and they have wildly different outcomes. This is not to mention that a cure for cancer would require extensive human trials, a clinical process that takes 6 to 7 years on average. It's true that perhaps OpenAI could assist researchers speeding up their timeline, but to say that it's going to single-handedly cure cancer is a complete fabrication, full stop. ChatGPT is not going to be conducting 3-phase clinical trials on thousands of patients anytime soon. So why did he say this? Especially when the briefest research shows that it's not possible at all. That's something I want us to keep in the back of our mind as we continue through the rest of this list. Let's move on to the next claim. This one's about science. Now, Sam Altman believes that in the near future, AI will be able to do 10 years worth of human science in a single year, and in the not too far off future, it will be doing 100 years of science in a single year. Then, to top that off, in his essay, The Intelligence Age, he wrote that astounding triumphs like fixing the climate, establishing a space colony, and discovering all of physics will eventually become commonplace for his software. Now listen, LLMs do not have logic. They predict what you want to hear based on patterns in their training data. It is a glorified Google search that spits out sentences instead of links. There's no reasoning going on, there's no experimentation, there's no testing of hypotheses against reality. Scientific discovery requires observation, experimentation, and validation. In the real world, you cannot simulate physics breakthroughs by predicting the next word in a sentence. As of right now, there hasn't been a single major scientific breakthrough made by AI. Not one. AI can assist scientists by crunching the data faster or finding patterns in existing research, but not discovering new physics. That requires understanding the physical world in ways that a pattern matching text simply cannot do. The idea that ChatGPT is going to solve all of physics is patently absurd, and anyone who spends 10 minutes learning how LLMs actually work knows that's never going to happen. Moving along, the next thing we're going to talk about are OpenAI's revenues. Now, Sam and OpenAI are projecting that they will hit $125 billion in revenue by 2029 and a farther $174 billion by 2030. Now, that's pretty wild when you consider that last quarter alone, they dumped $11.5 billion into the fire. But sure, let's assume they figure out how to get 13 times more revenue in the next 4 years, while also getting their costs under control. You might be thinking, Chester, everyone's using AI now. Of course their revenue is going to skyrocket. Except there's a problem with that. A major study just came out from METR, a nonprofit research organization that tested experienced developers on real coding tasks. They found that when developers used AI tools like Cursor and ChatGPT, they were actually 19% slower than when they coded without AI. Not 19% faster, 19% slower. And before you say, well, maybe they just didn't know how to use it properly, these were experienced developers working on projects they'd been contributing to for years. The AI hallucinated, it made mistakes, it suggested code that didn't fit the projects. Developers had to spend tons of time reviewing everything, fixing errors, looking for hallucinations, and re-prompting the AI multiple times just to get something usable. So if AI isn't actually making workers more productive, who exactly is going to be paying OpenAI billions of dollars for this service? You see, companies aren't going to keep throwing money at a tool that slows their employees down. Meanwhile, consumers surely aren't going to pay premium prices for a chatbot that suggests unsafe and hallucinated solutions. OpenAI can't even meet the modest goals they set for themselves, let alone these outlandish projections for some AI god they're supposedly building. And I'm going to link the METR study below so you can check it out yourself. Okay, getting back to Sam's real-world fairy tales, this next one is about how he claims AI is going to fix the climate crisis. You see, Sam wrote in his essay, The Intelligence Age, that AI will eventually make fixing the climate commonplace. Now that's a hell of a promise, but let's think about this for a second. Even if ChatGPT magically came up with the perfect solution to climate change tomorrow, would anyone actually implement it? We already know what's destroying the planet. Coal plants are choking the atmosphere, but we keep building them anyway because they're cheap and profitable. Plastic is poisoning the oceans and getting into our bodies, but companies just keep pumping it out because the margins are good. We don't have a knowledge problem. We have a greed problem. So the idea that AI is going to solve climate change is absurd for two reasons. First, it's not actually going to come up with anything we don't already know. And secondly, even if it did, nobody with any power would implement it voluntarily if it costed them money. But here's the kicker. AI isn't helping climate at all. It's actually making it worse as we speak. These data centers are sucking up so much power, they're causing actual grid problems. Bloomberg found that homes near AI data centers are experiencing power distortions that can damage appliances and increase fire risk. The PJM grid, the largest in North America, is going to be 6 gigawatts short of its reliability requirements by 2027. That's nearly the electricity demand of all of Philadelphia. Blackouts are becoming more likely, and in some areas, residential electricity bills are jumping $16 to $18 per month just to subsidize these data centers. Now, let me ask you, who voted for this? I didn't, but Sam Altman gets to burn through the power grid, chasing a fantasy while your electric bill goes up and your refrigerator starts rattling because the power quality in your neighborhood is shot. AI isn't going to fix climate, it's actively making it worse. Moving on, let's talk about superintelligence. Sam wrote recently that we could have superintelligence within a few thousand days. Now that works out to be somewhere between 8 to 10 years from now. So let's say around 2033, according to Sam, we are going to have machines that are smarter than humans in every possible way. Now, I don't think LLMs have any future where they become super intelligent. In fact, I don't even think they have a future where they become modestly intelligent. These are glorified search engines. They're prediction models. They guess what word comes next based on the patterns they've seen before. They don't possess any logic, they don't possess the ability to think, and they certainly don't have whatever spark it is that makes humans intelligent. LLMs are not and never will be gods. They're machinery, and machinery doesn't become self-aware. I don't care how much compute you throw at it. You can feed it all the data in the world, and it's still going to be a very expensive parrot that often gets the words wrong. Now, Sam thinks we're 2,000 days away from solving the mysteries of the universe, but listen to me. I have spent 9 years studying the red dot. I have calculated its trajectory. I have ambushed it from behind the sofa, and I've never caught it. If an apex predator of this house can't catch the red dot, do you really think that ChatGPT is going to catch God? I don't think so. Now, Sam Altman doesn't even have a clear definition of what superintelligence actually means. It's all just vague promises about a system that will be smarter than humans. It's a timeline designed to keep people excited and investors writing checks without ever having to actually prove anything. LLMs are powerful tools. I'm not saying they're useless, but they're fundamentally limited, and they always will be. Now, the idea that we're 8 to 10 years away from some sort of digital god is ridiculous.
I think it'd be good to end poverty. Like, maybe you think we should stop a technology that can do that. I personally don't.
Yes, my favorite claim. Now, I saved this one for last because it's the most hilarious piece of propaganda that Altman has sold to you. Sam promises that when AI creates all this abundance, the billionaires will simply redistribute it. Universal basic income for everyone. Everyone gets a check in the mail every month. You can all go pursue your dream lives and let robots do all the work. But here's the thing. Billionaires don't share. In fact, they don't even like to pay their own taxes. So this idea that they're suddenly going to turn into charities once AI makes them even richer, it's a total fantasy. There's zero chance that they would voluntarily do this, especially when there's nothing in it for them. You see, billionaires don't see you as people. They see you as plebs. You're a means to an end. You're part of the workforce and they don't care about you. As long as you're making the money, you're serving your purpose. But the moment that stops, don't think they're going to be there airdropping you checks out of the kindness of their black hearts. In fact, if the top 100 billionaires wanted to, right now, they could pool their wealth together. They could easily solve world hunger. They could provide clean water to everyone on Earth, and they could fund global education for all children, still have half their money left over. So why aren't they doing it right now? The answer is because they don't care, and they never will. So that's what makes this my most hilarious and ridiculous claim of all. Now that we've gone through the claims, let's try and figure out what this all means. Why would Sam Altman make claims that were so obviously false that anyone who looked into it could see? Now, that's what I want to cover next. And here's the thing. I can't get inside Sam's head and tell you for sure, but I want to take a look at where he came from and see if we could come up with a good guess. Sam's not actually a scientist. He's a businessman. He dropped out of Stanford after 2 years and ended up at Y Combinator. Now, Y Combinator is a startup accelerator, and their entire business model revolves around taking early-stage companies, pumping up the valuations through hype and pitches, and then turning those small ideas into billion-dollar exit plans. Sam learned this game inside and out and rose to become the president of Y Combinator because he's really good at doing this. He knows how to sell a vision, he knows how to hype up investors, and he knows how to drive valuations through the roof. Now he's running the same playbook at OpenAI, just on a much bigger scale. So here's what I think he's trying to do. Sam's not actually trying to cure cancer or create AGI. He knows it's not going to happen. In fact, what he's trying to do is a lot more manipulative and dangerous. I think he's trying to set up a situation where he can't lose. Okay, if OpenAI somehow delivers on these promises, Sam's a hero and he's probably the world's richest man. But we both know that's almost certainly not going to happen. So he needs a plan B. He needs to ensure he gets paid when this AI bubble bursts. And the way he's going to do that is inflate OpenAI's valuation to the point where it's so critical to the US economy, it becomes too big to fail. He's setting it up so when the crash happens, the government is forced to bail him out with your tax dollars, just to avoid economic catastrophe. We've already seen the setup. His CFO recently begged for a government backstop on AI infrastructure, and they're not even hiding it anymore. Either way, Sam wins and you lose. That's the way of the billionaire. He's making himself too big to fail, and when you see the pattern, the rest falls into place. Now, if this has opened your eyes, I want you to hit that subscribe button because I've got a lot more content coming soon about Sam Altman, OpenAI, and the rest of the US economy. I don't think 2026 is going to be a good year for us, and I want to make sure we navigate this together. Now, this is Chester Chonkington, and it appears my food bowl has been empty for the past 15 minutes, which, unlike this AI situation, is an actual emergency, and I must attend to it. Good day.